What's going on YouTube? Thomas L here. Since the new film Best of Enemies, which of course opened this week, since the movie takes place in 1971, I decided to do my top 10 favorite movies of 1971. Because I kind of IMDb it and all, and 1971 looked like a really solid year for movies. Like, 1971 had some really good classics there. And with that being said, here's my 10 favorite movies of that era. Alright. Coming in at number 1 is the film Clue. Now, the film is an acclaimed thriller that stars Jane Fonda as a character named Bree Daniel, who's a New York City call girl who becomes enmeshed in a investigation into a disappearance of a business executive. So you got Donald Sutherland, who plays the detective John Clute, who's of course hired to follow Daniel, and of course he eventually begins a romance with her as well. But of course it appears like the two hasn't really been the only person on trial. So like when it becomes clear that Daniel is being targeted, it's up to her and Clute to figure out who is after her before it's like all too late and all. Clute is a classic. I mean, Donald Sutherland and Jane Fonda, like they had some really good chemistry for one another. Like the movie had pretty good pacing. Like it's a romance film, it's a crime film all in one. It was directed by Alan J. Pakula, and also you had Roy Schneider in this from Jaws fame. I remember watching this movie one time and really enjoying it. I mean, the movie probably does hold up today as it did back then, but I still really enjoy it. And the performances by Sutherland and Fonda definitely is worth checking this out for. It's a really good film. Oops, sorry. Anyway, coming in at number 9 is The Last Picture Show. Now, this movie is about high school seniors and best friends named Sonny, played by Timothy Bottoms, and Dwayne, played by Jeff Bridges, who are live in a dying Texas town. And so Dwayne is dating a local beauty named JC, played by Sybil Shepherd. And so while Sonny is having an affair with the coach's wife named Ruth, played by Cloris Leachman. And so when graduation is near, both boys pretty much contemplate their futures, and also while Dwayne eyes the army and Sonny takes over a local business, each boy struggles to figure out if they can escape this dead end town and build a better life somewhere else and all. It's a really classic coming of age film. I mean, of course, this movie got released in 1971, and it's a film that took place years before technology, phones and stuff was invented and all. And the movie was directed by the great Peter Bongovich. I always mispronounce his last name for some reason, but he's a really talented filmmaker. And Jeff Bridges, he was terrific here. You know, Sybil Shepherd was great. I mean, you also, Timothy Bottoms was really good here. This is one of Jeff Bridges' earliest roles, and he was really good here. If you guys never seen The Last Picture Show, check it out. It's a classic. Coming in at number 8 is Fiddler on the Roof, which is, of course, based on a musical, and, of course, this movie is a musical play as well. It's a musical movie, I meant to say, no. Of course, it got turned into a play once, but... Anyway, Fiddler on the Roof is a classic musical film. I mean, it's a musical that, still holds up today. It has some really decent songs in it. It was directed by Norman Jewson. It also starred people like Chaim Tupou, Leonard Frey was in this, Norma Crane, Paul Michael Glazer. Some good classic actors. And in it, at the beginning of the 20th century, Jews and Orthodox Christians live in a little village of Atavilka in the pre-revolutionary Russia of the Caesars. And so, like among the traditions of the Jewish community, the matchmakers, arrange the match, and the father approves it. And so you got like the milkman, Reb Tavi, who's like a poor man that has been like married for 25 years with Goldie, and they have like $5 here. And when like the local matchmaker Yante, arranges the match between his older daughter Tazitzi and the old widow butcher Lazar Wolf. Tavi ends up agreeing with the wedding. However, like Tensei, is in love with the poor tailor motel Kamazo, and they ask, of course, permission to Tavi to get married and all. So like he, of course, accepts to please his daughter-in-law, and then like his second daughter named Holda, played by Michelle Marsh, and the revolutionary student Perchik decide to marry each other, and Tevi is like forced to accept. So like when Perchik is like arrested by the Caesar troops and sent to Siberia, Hada decides to leave her family and homeland and travel to Siberia to be with her beloved Perchik as well. This is I like that. It's a classic musical. It has some really classic like music numbers in this. Good performances by the cast. I mean, Norman Jewison did a really good job at directing. Really good. It's a classic film. If you guys never seen Fiddler on the Roof, check it out. And I gotta say, I'm surprised we never got to see like a remake of this. I won't be surprised if we see some sort of rendition, whether it be like a remake of this for the movies, or maybe like an NBC or Fox live, televised event. I won't be surprised if we'll see that in the future, but we'll see. Coming in at number 7 is Diamonds Are Forever. Now, this is a classic James Bond movie. It stars Sean Connery, who's pretty much one of the best Bonds we've had. And like here, James Bond, played by Sean Connery, infiltrates a Las Vegas diamond smuggling ring in a bid to foil a plot to target Washington with a laser in space. So, however, as 007 prepares to tackle the evil Blofeld, the mastermind who drains to destabilize the world, he is captive. He's of course captivated by the delicious Tiffany Case, who's of course a Bond girl, but she's of course like a double agent here. Diamonds Are Forever is probably one of my favorite Bond movies. It's a really classic one. I mean, Sean Connery, him as Bond is just he's an iconic Bond there. Jill St. John, her as the Bond girl. Tiffany Case was great. Lena Wood you had in this. Charles Gray, Jimmy Dean. Like some really good cast members, and the actor who played Blofeld in this, he's of course believe it or not, Dr. Evil is kind of a spoof of Blofeld, so there's a little Austin Powers tidbit for you there. But anyway, Diamonds Are Forever it's a Bond classic. It's a great movie. And Sean Connery, of course, made Bond perfectly. Of course, other actors have played Bond over the year as well, but Sean Connery will always, of course, be the best. Alright, coming in at number 6 is The French Connection. Now, this movie actually is pretty much an Oscar winner for Best Picture. It won Best Adapted Screenplay. It won Gene Hackman his Oscar. In this, Gene Hackman plays a police detective named Jimmy Popeye Doyle, while Roy Schneider plays his partner named Buddy Russo, who are, of course, police detectives on narcotics details. Of course, they're trying to track down the source of a of heroin from Europe into the United States. So you got Fernando Array as Suve Alan Kerner, who's a French drug kingpin who provides a large percentage of New York City's dope, and you got Marcel Bozafili, who plays a character named Pereira Nicoli, who's like a hired killer and Cherner's right hand man. And so you got like acting on a hunch. You got Popeye and Buddy start tailing Sal Boca, played by Tony Lo Bianco, and his wife named Angie, played by Arlene Faber, who live pretty. Okay. Anyway, who live pretty high for a couple whose corner store brings in $7,000 a year, and so like it ends up turning out that Popeye's suspicious. All right, and so like Sal and Angie are the New York agents for Connors, who of course be smuggling $32 million worth of heroin into the city in a car shipped over from France. And so like the French Connection broke plenty of new ground for screen thrillers, and so Popeye Doyle was a highly unusual hero. He's like often violent. He's a racist and a mean spirit cop. Of course, The French Connection was directed by William Friedkin, who of course directed The Exorcist. William Friedkin's a really legend director right there. He's directed some really classic stuff over the years. The Exorcist being one of them, of course. French Connection, I mean, the performance by Gene Hackman was great. Roy Schneider was terrific. Really good movie here. If you guys still never seen French Connection, I highly recommend it. They also did like a sequel years ago, which was not good at all, but the original French Connection is amazing. Definitely check it out. It's a 1970s classic right there. Coming in at number 5 is Harold M.R. Here you got actor Bud Cort, who plays a character named Harold, who's the 20-year-old son of a wealthy neglectful woman who tries to gain attention for himself with virus hilarious stage suicides and all. And so he's not really that great of a guy, but he ends up meeting a like-minded 79-year-old woman named Maud, played by Ruth Gordon, and they become they pretty much become best friends. And I mean, Harold and Maude it's a classic. I mean, it's a 1971 classic. The chemistry between Bud Cort and Ruth Gordon is amazing. I mean, I don't know if this movie really holds up today, to be honest with you, but it's still a really good one. Yeah, I mean, they pretty much develop a really unlikely friendship. I mean, a friendship between a 20-something-year-old and a 70-something-year-old. That's something you probably never really seen before this movie. And it was directed by the great Hal Ashby, who's always been the best. And of course, this movie also won the Golden Globe for Best Comedy or Musical. I believe it scored an Oscar nomination too. I'm not 100% sure there, but it's a classic. I mean, if you guys never seen Harold and Maude by now, I highly recommend that. All right. Coming in at number 4 is Play Misty For Me. Now, this is actually the directorial debut by Clint Eastwood. And here you got Clint Eastwood, who plays a character named Dave Garver, who's a self-centered California jazz disc jockey who's struggling with the idea of committing to his on-again, off-again girlfriend named Toby, played by Donna Mills. And so, one night he meets the mini-skirted Evelyn, played by Jessica Waters, in a bar, and he goes home with her, and of course there's a one-night stand involved. So he thought it was a one-night stand, but one day she ends up pretty much. It turns out that she's an obsessed fan, and she's been like sending him letters and all that, and been being pretty creepy. And all hell breaks loose throughout the whole film. I mean, Play Misty for Me is it's a movie that also introduced us to the obsession based stuff. Like this movie paved the way for movies like Fatal Attraction, Misery, and all that. It's a really good one. I mean, Clint Eastwood did a great job with his directorial debut. Jessica Waters was creepy. I mean, of course, Jessica Waters is best known for Arrested Development, but she was great in this. Donna Mills was great. It's a classic thriller. I mean, this movie will leave you guessing from beginning to end. It's a thriller classic now. And it shows, be careful who you meet in bars as well. So, there's a little tidbit for you there. Alright, speaking of Clint Eastwood, coming in at number 3 is Dirty Harry. Now, come on, Dirty Harry is the classic cop thriller. Clint Eastwood as Dirty Harry is iconic. Of course, he used some iconic line like of course, the classic, do you feel lucky? Well, do ya? Punk, that's an iconic line. I mean, Clint Eastwood, he really made this character. He played that role really perfectly. I mean, this is his pretty much Dirty Harry to Clint Eastwood is what Die Hard is to Bruce Willis and all. And Clint Eastwood's performance as Dirty Harry is perfect. It's an amazing performance. You know, Clint Eastwood, like I say, he was terrific here. I mean, I don't know if we'll ever see like a remake or whatever, but if we do, I mean, it'll be hard to top Clint Eastwood's performance because he was great. And of course, after Dirty Harry, he played the role again in the next other couple of films. But the first Dirty Harry, the 1971 classic, is the best. So, if you guys still never seen it, I highly recommend it. Alright, coming in at number 2 is Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange. Now, this movie is, of course, based on a book, and of course, the book is by Anthony Burgess. And in it, classical music-loving proto-punk named Alex, played by Malcolm McDowell, and his Drew spends the nights getting high at a Corvo milk bar before embarking on a little of the old ultra-violence, such as terrorizing a writer named Mr. Alexander, played by Patrick McGee, and gang-raping his wife, who later dies as a result. And after Alex is jailed for blood going, the cat lady, played by Maram Carlin, to death with one of her phallic sculptures. Alex, of course, submits to the Lodo Vogo behavior and all. Then, this movie takes place in the futuristic world and all. This movie is nuts. I mean, it is one of the weirdest movies of 1971. I mean, this is not really a movie I could watch over and over. I've seen this movie maybe only just once, and that's it. But it's still a really good. I still like the movie. It's not really a movie I could really watch over and over, to be honest with you. But it's still good. I mean, it's not really Stanley Kubrick's best work, in my opinion. I mean, that will probably go to The Shining, but it's still a really good one. I mean, Malcolm McDowell, him as the lead, is perfect. The other cast was pretty good. You know, the direction was decent. Like I said, there's some weird stuff that happens in this movie, and yeah, it's not really a movie you can watch over and over. You could probably maybe just watch this movie maybe once or twice, and that would probably be it. But not taking away of how good the movie is, though. It's still a pretty decent movie, just weird. That's all. If you guys seen A Clockwork Orange, you know how weird this movie gets. But that's, of course, not the best movie of that era. My number 1 favorite movie in 1971 is and will always go to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I mean, based on a book by Roald Dahl, starring the the late great Gene Wilder. Of course, about a boy named Charlie who gets a golden ticket to go to the biggest factory in the world with some not so good kids. I mean, this movie is like Saw for kids. Of course, directed by the great Mel Stewart. Willy Wonka is iconic. I mean, this movie is probably one of my second favorite movies of all time. And I could watch this movie over and over. I just love it. To me, it's 1971's best film. It's of course Gene Wilder's best film. I mean, not so like last year I did my top 10 favorite Gene Wilder movies, and of course Willy Wonka was number one. It's great. I just love this movie to death. I still own it. It's a movie I could watch. Unlike Clockwork Orange, this is a movie I could watch over and over and never get tired of. It's great. The one who plays Charlie, I think the actor's name is sorry about that. Anyway, I think the actor's name is Peter. I always mispronounce his last name, but I think it's Peter Hosefeld, something like that. But anyway, the kid who plays Charlie was great. He just played Charlie really well. The one who plays like the kids in this were all really good. The one who played Veruca Salt, I always thought was great. The parents was good. Jack Albertson as a Grandpa Joe is an iconic character. I just love this movie. And for whatever reason, if you guys still never seen Willy Wonka, do yourself a favor, watch it. The movie's iconic. And of course the Tim Burton one's good too, but to be honest with you, I still prefer the original over the Tim Burton one. It's just a classic. I mean, definitely check out Willy Wonka if you've still never seen it. It's the best. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me do the quick rundown. Alright. Number 10, Clue. Number 9, The Last Picture Show. Number 8, Fiddler on the Roof. 7, Diamonds Are Forever. 6, The French Connection. 5, Harold and Marge. 4, Play Misty For Me. 3, Dirty Harry. 2, A Clockwork Orange. And 1, Willy Wonka. Now, there's loads of other ones I probably could have added. Let me get the list. Now, note, I haven't seen every 1971 movie, to be honest with you, but I've seen a good chunk of them. Let's see. Straw Dogs with Dustin Hoffman. That's a good one. Let's see. Tax 1138. That's alright. Weird, but alright. The original Shaft movie with Richard Roundtree. That's a good one. Get Carter, the original film with Michael McCain. Steven Spielberg made his directorial debut with Duel. The Clint Eastwood's The Big Aldo, which is of course the original. That was a good one. Willard. Let's see. Some very good stuff here. Roman Polanski's Macbeth is a good one. Some really good stuff that got released that year. But note, like I said, I haven't seen every single 1971 movies there is, to be honest with you. But like I said, I've seen a good chunk of them to warrant a top 10 list. So, anyway, let me leave to you guys. What are some of your favorite movies of 1971? Drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for more notifications. This here is Tom Sells signing off.